Hello, everyone. This is Brother Benson, and I'm joined with my friend Miguda. Miguda, how are you doing? Hello, Miguda.
I'm doing good. I'm doing
Uh,
good.
yes,
Just chilling. How about you?
I'm doing wonderful. I can't complain, and I hope on your side things are working well.
On my side, things are calm. Things are progressing.
I saw today the anti-corruption unit raided the governor of Kiambu, Wamatangi home. And I'm seeing on the internet there's some do we call some cash that was recovered. So we don't know what is happening, and that is something that is usually very much usual that we see with the political. We will wait and wait for investigation, but the people of Kiambu protested, and I saw also he was released, and he was walking in the road by crowd of people, celebrating him. What is your take on that?
It's celebrating in terms of what? Terms of being corrupt or terms of being released. That is our what we should ask ourselves. And if at all there were issues of corruption, I think we should also wait a little bit, wait for the conclusive report, and also the culprit need to be arrested and also charged. And the people who were chanting or working with him, no, these people, were they celebrating corruption or they were celebrating the release of the governor?
Th- that's
That's what I should ask myself.
that's what I'm still I want to understand, because at some point I saw them. They were shouting the slogan of "Ruto must go" when governor was being taken, and immediately the grilling was over, and they were celebrating. I don't know whether they were celebrating because it was released or they were celebrating because of the corruption, but that is them themselves. They might know the reason for their celebration. But where I usually see the loopholes, especially like with anti-corruption unit, you raid like that. Immediately after raiding, you know, it will take like years and bringing before bringing prosecution. Because in advanced countries, what happens is that like when such a raid is done, which means that everything is already set. So immediately after raid, it will be taken and the prosecution will start. But this is where the raiding is done. They're still looking for the evidence, and we are still it's under investigation. By the time the prosecution starts, it's almost years and years.
Sometimes it can take time to understand that the person who was charged with corruption
Mhm.
has left office. Maybe his term limit has expired.
Yeah.
And how are we going to bring back him? I also know the issue of him being set free, him
Yes.
being scot free can interfere with the witnesses, can interfere with the evidence. And
Mhm.
I've never seen anybody who has been jailed of corruption, also government official in this country.
Mhm. Yeah, it's usually very rare to find that somebody who has been accused of corruption and the prosecution taking place. Remember, there was this Aror and Kimwerer investigation took place, and after that, the people who were accused, um, it was found that they were clean. That was just a mere allegation. Anyway, we will keep on following up on Matangi case. Did you see also the member for Nyali, Jichopevu, is kind of like from the way he talks, he's kind of like wants to quit UDA. What is happening?
That is the nature of the politics. We have said that it's all about interest. When
Yeah.
before the broad-based government,
Yeah.
People like Mohammed Ali they were the boys in town. They were the sheriffs around. And
Yeah.
now with the coming of people like Atandi, people like Mbadi, ODM
Uh,
people,
uh,
so they must be kicked out so that they can give space to the new guys in town. And that is why he must also quit to look for political space and also where he can also make himself to be, he can also build another brand, or he want to make himself, he want to make, he want to tag a price for himself. I think that's what he's trying to do. It's obvious because you understand the way he fought the ODM people in Nyali, and in fact even won against the ODM candidate, which was filled by the a brother to deputy party leader, brother to
yes.
Joe, who was given a direct ticket. He fought that guy and he won that constituency. That's why I still believe that the issue, he had an option, but because you might not know, the broad-based government might be planning for him to reclaim that constituency, and you cannot be within and being fought
Mm,
within. So what you need to do, you need to
mm,
quit, and also
yeah.
you can look for a space so you can fight outside. You come back with that sympathy card.
Yeah. Okay. That's okay. There's also something that is now trending about Ndindi Nyoro. I think like Ndindi Nyoro today had he had a speech somewhere, and he was talking about the debt crisis. And seemingly, I think now Ndindi Nyoro has started opening up because, like, you remember, ever since the impeachment of Rigathi Gachagua, Ndindi Nyoro has kept off the public, especially not commenting on anything to do with the politics and intrigues of it in the public domain. So today he talked, and I think he was giving a speech or he was having some lectures that also is there. We also saw Rigathi Gachagua penning down uh, a statement, especially to the IG about his life being in danger, and he wrote so many uh, attempts for his assassination, and he even referred to 207, what really happened. Um, so that is also there. I told you about also Wamatangi. Let me just also give you something that is also trending on X. So apart from the one for Rigathi Gachagua, let me just give you something also that is trending on X again. Um, yeah, we have the governor Wamatangi. Then we have Ndindi Nyoro. Actually, this is what Ndindi Nyoro said today at his lecture. Kenya can function optimally with half the size of the current government. If government was a loaf of bread, you could cut it in half, and ordinary citizens like my grandmother would even, because service delivery wouldn't be affected. And this one, if you internalize it, it will tell you what 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 is communication is all about. Again, this is another thing that Ndindi Nyoro said today in that his speech. He said that you can spend a lot of time fixing your politics and you neglect the role of which you are elected to do. That is the quote by Ndindi Nyoro. So, and let me just go to his Twitter page, and this is what he wrote. This morning, under the auspice of the Institute of Public Finance, we had a robust engagement primarily on the economy. Many distinguished economic scholars attended and took part in public debt, revenue, and such topics were great interest. Debt management by Kenya. So that is the first time I would say that Ndini Nyoro is coming out to talk about what is happening. There's also a case with Natembea, where Natembea says that in Kenya today, if you don't join the choir and praise the president, you are considered a bad person. I won't accept because I have a mouth and the freedom to speak. As long as Kenyans are facing problems, I will speak out. If SHA or CBC have issues, I will say it. That is Natembea, the good governor of uh, Trans Nzoia. So there's so many things that are taking place, especially in the political landscape, and Yes. Okay, that is what I can see. And maybe I can also remind you of what Eugene Wamalwa said yesterday. Uh, he was talking about the Gen Z, like it will be unfair. Um, hmm, okay, okay. There's also something here very interesting, Miguda, before I bring you in. This is on sports. William Ruto's son says he's training to save Kenya football. Ndindi okay, that is what. There's also the issue of Chadema. People are still having conversation about the issue of Chadema. Anyway, that is that. Maybe if you can comment on those few issues that have those are just like briefs, a few news that we're just looking at on the X, what is trending. Hello, Miguda. Okay, I think we've lost Miguda. Tuko hapa na Madmix Rispa. Thank you so much for joining us on the
Hello?
Facebook. And Alex, Kenya is sick. That is what Alex said on the Facebook page. Yes, Miguda, you heard what is taking place, especially just a few brief what are trending and what is happening. What is your take on Wamatangi, Ndindi Nyoro, and Gashagwa, the letter to IG?
Wamatangi, we need to first. I believe that we understand there are people who are defending status quo, and even at county level, that those people are allied to the governor, and they must come out to defend the governor, whether in doing good act or bad act. They must come out to defend their governor, because some of them, that's how they earn living. It is very normal in politics. Some people do defend their stomach. So I'm not surprised to see when other people were moving with the governor, celebrating his release from the ESCC. We talk about the issue of Didi Nyoro. Didi Nyoro is trying to be politically, strategically correct, and because you never understand that there is always betrayal in politics. At the same time, you never understand that the politics of the country, someone whom he trusted so much, like William Ruto, at some point betrayed him, and now maybe he had planned that within the time he'll be serving as the chair back of the budget committee, he will be making some moves as he prepare for his future political journey. But now he had to go to drawing board. But it's good now he's trying to come back and make some baby steps. And next to that, he might also triumph in future. You saw even Babu Owino is retreating. They are retreating. That's very normal when the road you are using to get to power has been blocked by the veterans. What do? You must channel another route or join them. I think that's what happened. The issue of Gashagwa, the reason why I try to support his thoughts or his opinions, because he's at liberty. He is at free to express himself. That extent, I support that freedom of expression. I support it. So that's why, even whether it's exposing or transparent before. So the freedom is not limited to him. We will defend whatever he's saying because of that freedom of expression and that freedom to speak whatever you want to speak. That one I will support. But whether those things are factual or they are not, it's now up to the relevant authority to display to the public that whatever the person has alleged concerning person XYZ, they are factual, and the XYZ should come to respond, and also they can take some responsible action to such people. That's not is up to those people, but let us not limit people their freedom of expression.
Okay, thank you so much. Today we want to have this conversation. I know is one of those conversations that nobody. Miguda, you have to mute. Okay, umetumia nani credit, umenitumia. Okay, there's this conversation that we need to have, especially in the country, like what we are seeing. And I want to connect that with what I was reading about Natembeya, is that what do we do if voters can't choose wisely? Because at some point, the voters are not choosing wisely. And there's what is promoting, or they are pointing factors that are making the voters not to choose wisely. But in the event that they don't choose wisely, I mean, what happens? Because we've seen, for example, especially there are some countries or some areas whereby uh, the, 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 the political process has been overplayed, and people have been installed, or people have installed themselves in those positions, but you find that they've done well, yeah, in the positions that they've installed themselves forcefully. And I can give you a typical very few scenarios that I know of. But now, in your own thought, what happens when voters, or what do we do if voters can't vote or choose wisely?
If voters can't choose wisely, in the event that voters can't choose wisely,
Yeah.
voting is being influenced by many factors.
Hmm.
And to that extent, we sometimes end up making wrong decision at the ballot.
Yeah.
And that is the problem we have, because controlling masses to a politician is easier than controlling the ideology of the people. That is why when we even intend to discuss the ideological or the philosophical aspect
Hmm.
of it, some
Yeah.
people can even judge us that these young lads are inexperienced. These young lads, they don't understand how we understand, we know what's happening there, but the problem is now, even you, someone who should transform your society, you have been put into that box whereby you think that it is only this way, or it's not something that is unpopular or something that
Yes.
is popular. That is why you have to follow the suite. That's why I also believe that
Mhm.
they try to work with the mass, and they try to work with the lies to understand that even the electorate do make wrong decision, even
Yeah.
if we try to put measures, or even if we have some historical mistakes that we have made as a country, we end up, people end up, and it always sometimes begin from the lower leadership, that from the context of the MCA, or the
Mhm.
context of the governor, or of the MPs. Sometimes they come to people and even try to tell the people that we must vote along our ethnic tribes. We must vote along the issue of six P's, or we must escort our leader with these people, the people who he or she has chose. At the same time, they are
Mhm.
also trying to use things like, we are going to vote for somebody because of a certain community, or
Yeah.
because of ABC. But the point always remains that whoever you voted for, the consequences doesn't
Yeah.
only occur to the people who never voted for him. When we are experiencing high cost of living, it cuts across the nation.
The
When we
nation.
are experiencing the fuel, the issue of fuel levy, it
Yeah.
cuts across the nation. There is no specific allocation, there's no specific increasement of taxes to the Mount Kenya people, or to the Luo nation, or to the Kamba nation. It
Mhm.
cuts across even the issue of finance bill. That is why it is being brought into Parliament, National Assembly, because it's for the whole nation. It is not being discussed in Muranga, or it's not being discussed in Kitui County. That's why I still believe that even if we try to put some measures, or try to introduce some new transformation ideas as the young people, and also as the people who have been in the politics, but we are experiencing challenges because of the issue of masses, whereby people will vote I think people do vote based they vote along something, but they never mind about ideas.
Okay, thank you. You know, you've spoken about people looking at experience in politics, and they look it in terms of how many times have you vied. Yeah, so maybe if you vied for let's say like you're doing even 15 years, they will call that one is an experience, and that one can guarantee you, according to the voters now they're choosing. But you find like this, the person who has been there for that 15 minutes, no significant change, especially or significant impact in the lives of the people that he leads or he represents in terms of even negotiating for development, especially as we know right now, which is against the law of our land about the issue of CDF that is now is being contested here. And the other day, Raila was saying like that the CDF should be left or should be taken out because it is unconstitutional. But you find like somebody has been managing this for almost over 20 years. Yeah. That is, he has experience because he has gone to parliament for those 20 years. But there's somebody who has just come in for 1 year, but the significant that they've made with their CDF is quite much telling. For instance, so many people might say that okay, Babu Owino is not experienced, so he should slow down on his politics and what he wants to do because of inexperience, in that he has not been in a political field, especially in the active political field for the longest time as compared to other peers. But if you witness what Babu Owino has done with those who have been there for so long, these are quite a much different. Look at what Peter Salasia did, based to the fact that he's a one term, he's only in 2 years in his office. So where is that experience might come important before the eyes of the voters when they're choosing or when they're electing or when they're voting.
The issue you have talked about, the issue of CDF, NGCDF currently,
Yes.
there has been this issue whereby you find out that the way you have just stated clearly that someone has come to parliament, like people like PK Salasi, the first time MPs, but they can merge to be top 10. And the veterans who have been there for quite long, maybe 20 years in parliament,
Yeah.
they are not even appearing in top 100. And you ask yourself, these are the people who have been there and they have been re-elected twice, thrice, or 4 times. And you can ask yourself the purpose for them being re-elected. And some people are not being re-elected because they have worked for the people or because they have been voted for. Some people are being re-elected because they are sycophants. Some people are being re-elected because they are loyalists to the party leader. Some people are being re-elected because they are being given direct ticket from their political parties. Some people are being re-elected because some people even stole votes. Some people are being re-elected because they are lying to the electorate that they are going to support their party leader to fight the national war at Bomas. But we have never seen them assist doing anything. So they are telling we are going to assist our party leader huko mbele, huko juu, sasa tupatie hapa chini. And some people are being even elected without even campaigning, even without having any poster into their constituencies. And that's why we have asked, what have they done with this NGCDF? And they will also respond to you because they know how to respond to each and every question in this world. They will tell you that NGCDF is for the manager. We have the constituency manager. Go and ask constituency manager. Maybe
But
it is
who
our
oversees?
constituency manager who is corrupt, but not us.
Who oversees? Hello, Luguda, can you hear me,
Who
please?
oversees is the member of parliament is the one who oversees. But now they are like I told you that that's how they will respond to you that it is not our duty to take care of the constituency. But now if you take care of the NGCDF, it is up to the manager to take care of the CDF kitty. And they will respond to that. Me, my role is to represent oversight and legislate, and are doing it perfectly at the National Assembly. Now, the issue of development, I'm just overseeing, but it's up to the manager. Then we are asking them, does it mean that the people who have exemplary work very well, we
Yeah.
could only upload the CDF managers, but not the MPs? But if that's the case, why is that we are ranking the MPs? We don't rank the managers of the CD of the constituency.
Mhm.
That's why I told you it's a fallacy, because we only rank that person who was elected by the people, the person who's delegated that power to go and work with
Yeah.
the people. Some of us even don't know who is the manager of the constituency. We know our area MP.
This is our good friend Douglas Kibogong. Thank you so much for joining, and thank you much for your support. Ask Kevin, though Kevo is still not around, but we have Miguda through the audio. Was ideology of ECOS to war was creativity of students or creativity of Malala? Kevin might answer that, but like I think the creativity of echoes of war, as yesterday we mentioned about the literature. One thing that usually happens when it comes to literature, my good friend brother, literature has a two meaning, especially when you're doing literature. Literature has the inner meaning and the face value meaning, especially when you do literature. And when you talk about echoes of war, especially in our context or in our scenario, what we have today, there are so many incidences that I can point out as somebody who is doing that literature, and relate it the 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 title of the play. One, I would even look at the way, even not the leadership, especially of the administration that is currently governing. No, even on how, if I look at the way Azimio, the way those who want to align themselves with the Rigathi Gachagua, it is that echo that comes into my mind, and the echo might not only mean war, but echo might mean something that you question, by giving incidences, because you can ask yourself, why is it that right now, for instance, we know Rigathi Gachagua and the president, they were friends. What might have come between them and bring this kind of enmity between the president and his deputy to a point whereby Rigathi was impeached? So that is still like, and if you see on how they engage into public, that's war of words. And that one also, it depicts that is echoes of war. So it might be creativity. Yeah, it was an imaginary. When you have an imaginary, and the very moment, if you have a chance to read the play, I've read the play. It paint for you a picture of different scenario. Paint you a picture, a character trait of a leader, a characteristic of a society that we are living in. It also portrays the religion. It portrays so many things. When you look it into the into inner meaning, so it has so many explanations. Thank you, Douglas, for asking. But I hope Kevin Makobura will be around when he comes, and he will explain on that. He said that, suppose echoes of Malala, will you deny? Yes, it depends on how you interpret it as a person. Because, the literature, that is why it's called the literature. The literature does not mean that what I say is correct, provided that you can cite incidences or you can cite issues that you feel this can be also echoes of Malala. And how would you say that is the echoes of Malala? Because maybe they disagreed with the president and now he's playing it as an echo and is creating that differences. It is possible. It depends on how you interpret the play. But when you're interpreting the play, you have to give evidence to authenticate the title. The theme. Sometimes you get a theme illustrates by showing areas that I illustrate by showing the areas that justify that this is echoes of war. Then from the play, you can give those evidence. I can give echoes of war, based on the setup of the play, because it was the Middle East, a Islamic state. This is a Islamic state that has been in war, but now they are healing. That is still echoes of war. They are healing from war, and as they are healing, people are still demonstrating. They are forgetting that they're just from war. Why are they demonstrating instead of even coming together to build that setup? That is something that can happen. So Kevin will come and explain more about this, and maybe Miguda too can explain. So Miguda, we've talked about when what do we do, especially if voters can't choose wisely. And we know people vote, and people usually vote for their voices to be heard. That is the main reason, because it's a sacred, especially when it comes to uh, voting in ideal democracy, is a sacred to the people, because you're given a chance to give particular leaders or particular personalities the authority to run the country. But always we are told that uh, the majority will always carry the day. Yeah. But what if the majority, especially what happens if the majority are facing challenges like poverty? What happens in such a situation?
Majority are facing challenges like poverty, but
Yes.
they are the people who are going to have their way because they are the majority. Now the challenge comes in that the majority might be languishing in abject poverty, but
Yes.
when it comes to decision making, that's why I
Mhm.
told you that someone who is languishing in abject poverty,
Mhm.
and when given opportunity to elect a
Yeah.
governor or a president, he will not elect a competent person. He will elect someone who is an ally to the political party or
Mhm.
someone who is an ally to the tribe, but omitting someone who could have transformed the country universally, or someone who could have improved the issue of inclusivity
Yeah.
because of the mindset that has been put by a certain public figure, that of a caliber of a politician who has used that massive crowd to spread hatred among his opponent. To an extent that even if you know very well that first you are unemployed, you are living hand to mouth,
Yeah.
and you need someone who should transform the society for you to get that equality when it comes to competition, and someone who should broach the issue
Yeah.
of meritocracy. But you are lacking that wisdom at the ballot day because of that wave and propaganda that has been spread by politicians preaching the gospel of doom that someone is mganga, someone is mlevi, someone is mwizi, but you're not concentrating on the history of this person,
Yeah.
according to the rightful history. That is
Yeah.
why I still have a challenge, because I told you one day when I went to purchase a certain oil, I went to purchase a cooking oil at a certain shop just in Kikuyu land, because that is sometimes I like staying there. So when I went to a certain shop, I met a certain old grandmama, and
Mhm.
I asked her why he got this price of cooking oil as shoot. Then she told me that this guy, the problem is the president. Then I asked her, is it not you people who voted for the president?
Yeah.
Then she told me, no, we didn't. I said, okay, now everybody's now trying to get rid of that they never voted for him. It means that even the people who have made those wrong choices at the ballot are not ready to admit that we made a wrong choice and we must face the consequences. That's why I told you that even if people are languishing in abject poverty,
Yeah.
but people do not use their, I can say, their brain to vote. People apply emotions. People apply hatred. People apply things like, we have had people saying circumcision, we have had people saying HIV/AIDS. These are the things which people do apply when they want to vote. And because our person is there, someone from my community, whether it's corrupt or not, I'm contented. But if someone who's not from my community is there, then I have a
Yeah.
problem with that person. That is where I still believe that it's high time that when you are given that ballot mark, kindly just apply common sense. Vote for someone
Mhm.
whom you understand, so that when it comes to the issue of accountability, you can be held responsible. Today,
Yep.
I can say there are those people who are proud that we voted for Raila
Yeah.
and he was never declared, but we never voted for William Ruto, who's currently people are saying Ruto must go. They are walking bold. They are walking in towns bragging that we had. That's why I told people that it's better you lose with someone whom at the end of the day you are sure than winning and also we want people to come and assist you to get this person out of power. But we are not there because we don't need because we are already in that mess. So we need to make progress as a country. What I was trying to say is that
Mm.
because the question you have asked is very significant, that the majority of the Kenyans people are languishing in abject poverty. That's a fact. But why is that they are making wrong choices? Wrong choices are being made because people just look for instance, some electorates will focus on the bribery, the money by politicians. Some will
Mhm.
focus on the party that we belong to this party.
Yeah.
Some will also focus on the tribe that this person is coming from our region. He is
Mhm.
a Taita. Because
Mhm.
he's a Taita and we are all Taitas, then Taita is going to become the president. Then even that if that Taita is corrupt,
Yeah.
if that Taita is incompetent, then
Yes.
it's better we end up with our Taita at the president, but not an Ogiek who is
Mhm.
competent, an Ogiek who is corrupt free. I think now sometimes sometimes you can make us sometimes you can make even the people who are trying to give civic education
Mhm.
apply cane to cane you people because it's high time that it's on a plain paper that there is this person who is competent and this person
Mhm.
is incompetent. Then because of party politics, tribe, other things, you end up with someone who's incompetent. Then you come back trying to lament. That one, Brother Benson, we must take into consideration that
Yeah.
even people are saying that it is enough. I don't believe
Yeah.
that the civic education has reached people widely.
Okay, thank you so much. I'm seeing my brother Makobura is already here, and I will I will brief him on what we are talking about. And Kip Douglas was asking me, can you just, Malala was immediate UDA Secretary General? Yes, that was true. Ben, you read a book when Echoes of War are, oh, Makobura, sorry, I think you might have changed. You read a book was when Nikolai came to call you to play. No, I've not read that, but I might if you can let me have
I
it.
think I've read it.
You've
I
read
think
it?
I've read the comments
You've read them?
and I've read the comments and I think I'm in a position to answer Douglas Kibogong.
All right. Okay. Thank you. You will answer him. Let me just give you a brief on what we're talking about so you are at the same page with us. And also, thank you so much. We are following. I'm seeing Brenda is following. Thank you so much for joining. You know, Makubura, what we are discussing today is about what do we do if voters can't choose wisely. And in our conversation, we've come with so many issues and items that we are looking at because we know that voting is usually a sacred and the voice of the majority matters. That is what we do. The majority will always have the way. But what happens if the majority are facing the challenges and the challenges they are facing is making them not to vote wisely or can't vote wisely because those challenges are within them. There are challenges that maybe those they are voting have decided to use them. Talking of things to do with the poverty, talking the things to do with the tribalism, talking with things to do with the literacy, talking to do with the short-term emotion, continuously electing leadership, which has failed them. Yeah, based on emotion, you've had a leader for 10 years, but because the emotion of it, the emotion factor is, in fact, you end up electing this leader because of emotion, to treat you emotional, yet you don't look at what the leader can offer. Yeah. So what will happen in such like scenario where the majority are the people who should always have their day, but the majority are facing very, very, very serious challenges, and this is making them not to vote wisely. And the people that have been given the mandate to find a way of how we can eradicate poverty, find a way on how we can eradicate illiteracy, find a way of how we can fight tribalism, you find like they might be the people who are in the forefront pushing for that. So that is the conversation that we are having today. And we are still reminding you about our project that we are supposed to be doing. We've placed the number there. So if God blesses you with that, I will. What is the word wisely? Wisely. Wisely is correctly making good decisions. Wise. If you're a wise person, you know what wise means. So wisely means like you're choosing the best from the wrong in a wise way. Maybe. Marco Buddha, that's just like a preview of what we're discussing about. What if now they cannot choose, or they have challenges, or another way that we can put is the challenges that especially the voters are facing, yeah, during voting.
Okay. Okay, thank you. Maybe before I get into the discussion, allow me to say hi to you and to Miguda, and also to Douglas Kibogong, Brenda Obedi, Alex Omwara, Moodmix, Rispa, and everyone at the comment section or at the viewing section. Just a reminder that this is Brother Benson Media, and here we say that your opinion counts. Again, if you're new to this channel, kindly like and subscribe to the channel, because if you do so, it is a way of supporting us, and we'll really, really appreciate. I don't know whether I should start with the question or I should start with the
you can start with the question. You can start with the question.
Okay, yeah. On the topic of what we can do, what do we do if voters can't choose wisely? I think the voters are at a point where majority of them are lacking what we call sensitization or public knowledge, or if they do have the knowledge, they are lacking what we call, they've been brainwashed. And part of the reason why they've been brainwashed is because the political leaders or the people who are going for these political seats, they have simply made it tough for the citizens to understand what really happens in the political limelight. And again, the citizens have been, the political class has ensured that, the citizens are not getting what they need for their daily life so that they can improve and make decisions on their own. I think we can agree to the fact that when you have a citizen, that a group of people or a group of citizens who are unable to, finance or get the opportunity to just deal with their financial needs, whether personal, whether basic needs, if they are unable to afford these basic needs, then they tend to lose. I mean, they tend to low down or to get too down, and that actually changes their behavior and how they think. When they are around people who have money. We've seen such instances where young people go to school, they get educated, but then there are no jobs for them. So they have no option, but sometimes they're told, I mean, they are hired by this political class and given some little money so that they can survive. They have no option to turn down this kind of offers. So
Yeah.
they find themselves making decisions which are not really right. They know it is not right, but life has to continue. They have to get something to eat. So it is a balance. It is balance between your life, it's a balance between doing what is right and what is wrong. And this has been a challenge among the people of Kenya. And that is why we've seen so many instances where young or majority of young people are being hired by the political class, and they're the people who are actually misleading even some other citizens, whereby they end up making wrong decisions when it comes to voting. Something else that I've also noted is, you know, the bribes which are being given by the political class to this to the youth and to the citizens.
Yeah.
Uh, there's a good number of citizens who have lost hope.
Yeah.
They have lost hope to an extent that they just believe, or they just know that the only people who can help them is the 1,000 or the 500 which they are being given by the political class. Because when they try to look at the bigger picture, if, for example, you ask yourself, do I take this 1,000 for this politician and help him pursue his political ambitions, or what do I do? The option
Yeah.
that you'll have on the table is, I take this because we need to eat, we need to get our basic needs, forgetting that tomorrow is another day, and you'll be given that 1,000. You go get food for that day, and you actually tend to forget that tomorrow is another day. And so what is happening is that the voters, they have no option but to make a decision for what is affecting their life at the current moment. They are not seeing now what is happening in the future. And it is something that has been created by the political class. So it is a challenge. And one thing again that we have to accept is that the youths are trying to understand. They are trying to get to know. They're accepting the fact that this is happening and they're not making the right decisions. Like just the ones that I've given you. And that is why we saw a good number of youths last time coming out to point out issues which they think are not really going on with them. Things to do with corruption, which according to them are part of the reasons that they have no option. Sometimes when they are told to get into such kind of things, they just do it to survive today so that they can get something for today. So what I can say is that there's a lot of sensitization that still needs to be done among the people of Kenya, the citizens of the the citizens of the republic. But as much as that is going to be done,
Yes.
the political class has to play also a role if they really want to bring back the lost glory in the Republic of Kenya, because
Oh,
the buck stops with political class and also the
ma-
citizens.
okay. Thank you so much. You've talked about the political class, and this is where I want you to maybe let me, or you can explain to us how the political class can bring in the lost glory, because we know in an ideal situation of a democracy, in ideal a situation of the voting is usually sacred. Yeah, if the voting is sacred, then the majority will always have their way. You know,
I get that.
and and when you look at the majority are not the politician. The majority are the people who are voting. But you find in the process of voting, yeah, your vote will always be your voice. But in the process of voting, there are challenges that we are going through as voters and make us to make choices that are not very wise. Not that we want to make those choices, but the challenges has made us to. For instance, let's take this scenario of where we have short-term emotions continuously. The emotions that we as the Kenyan people, especially we've been treated to, especially with the political class, has made us to vote particular leaders continuously. That if you look their record, they've failed in terms of offering good leadership, but they thrive in corruption. Yeah. That is what I'm trying to bring. Like, because they know our weakness and our challenge. The biggest challenge is emotions. And what happens,
Yeah.
they will pull on even the tribal card. Then in the process of tribal card, what happens? We vote. Remember
Yeah.
what
Brother,
let me just
I get.
and maybe you're coming in because I want you also to connect it to what Oburu Dinga said at the funeral the other on Saturday. He said, like, he asked the president, please give us our share, our region share. This is government. How can you quantify that this is our share, and how much should it be your share? That is why I'm saying, I'm asking those.
Okay. Okay. I've gotten your question.
Yeah.
And of course, I've gotten the fact that, of course, the reason why I said that the political class also has to play their role is
Yes.
because the citizens have understood and they know what is happening, and they have always pointed out the issues which, according to them, are making the country not to go forward in a way that it should.
Yep.
And I think that was confirmed, of course, by the demonstrations which were carried out last year. I think that tells you that, of course, the citizens wanajielewa, wananchi wanajielewa. Na kujielewa kwao ndio wakatoka nje na wakaambia the political class that, you know what, can you guys stop corruption? Can you guys stop the luxurious style of living? Can you guys stop greed? Can you guys stop making laws which are not right? So I think up to that point, we can agree or say that the citizens have understood, and they've known that the political class are the ones which are, not being truthful. So the reason why now I'm saying that the political class has to also play a role. This is why. We have a constitution in the Republic of Kenya, and it clarifies the role of every leader. And if suppose the political class has forgotten the fact that there is a constitution and they need to follow it, the citizens of the Republic of Kenya, majority of them went on street and reminded them that, you know what, this is what the constitution says. It does not, encourage things to do with corruption, greed for public resources, making laws which are not appropriate. And now, as far as what we've been seeing, the political class has simply decided not to follow the law, not to follow the constitution, and they've also decided not to listen to the citizens. And that is why we are saying that if truly they care for this country, if truly they are leaders who understands the reason why they were elected, then part of them, I see some members of parliament, I see some political leaders doing what is right, doing what the citizens what the citizens expect of them. But there's a good number of them who are crooked in their behavior and their operations. And those are the ones that we will keep on calling, and we will keep on reminding them of what is expected of them and what the Constitution of the Republic of Kenya says. Because if the political class or the leaders that we have were people who are, following what the Constitution says, if they were genuine people, if they were people who are listening to the citizens, the people who gave them the mandate to run those seats, then probably will not be having the problems that we are having. So as much as we are blaming the voters, just like the reasons that I've given out, they are making this painful decision not because they want. It is because the political class has made that environment, and they have no option they have no option. And they have got that, family members, they have to eat for that day. And that is why they make that painful decision of, getting into things which are not right. But of course, the buck stops with the voters. But again, the political class has a role to play in this. That is what I can say. But maybe before I forget, allow me to get back to this question of Douglas. You were saying, was ideology of ECOS to war, was creativity of students or of Malala? Of course, the play was written by Malala, and that has been confirmed. It's been on, all the medias. But again, I'm not supporting Malala. I'm not his supporter. But what I'm saying is we need to be truthful. The fact of the matter is this is not the first play that was written by Malala. Even before he joined politics, in 2013, what was that? What was the name of what was the name or the title of the one that that was stopped and then the court gave a green light.
Shackles of Doom.
Yeah, Shackles of Doom. That is a play that was written by Cleophas Malala. And not only the two, which has gotten to the public domain, I think we have to accept the fact that if you follow this gentleman, he has written not less than 48 books or plays. So this is something that falls under his profession. And, we have to accept the fact that some people, we have to respect the profession of someone and also the interest or the gift or talent that someone has. So let us not look this matter as a political, the way we are seeing so many people are trying to look into it as, in the political angle. Because if we do so, we will actually lose the sense. The ideology of the Echoes of War, it is something that was written, of course, with Malala, but we also have to accept the fact that this is not the first play that he wrote that has been played by this specific school. There are others which had given to this school and they had no problem, apart from the one that we've just mentioned. But not just Butere Girls, there are other schools that he wrote, that he wrote some books and were played. But again, I think we should not put it in this manner because, for example, the book Betrayal in the City, written by Francis Mboga, why are we then not asking who Francis Mboga is? If suppose, for example, because what is in Betrayal in the City, the leadership and the governance of Kafira, if we translate it into our Kenyan Republic, it is a similar thing which we are seeing. Why are we then not talking about, is it Kifo Kisimani that talks about, which book was that talks about, that predicted what was going to happen? For example, this issue of Butere Girls being stopped and being told to do it early in the morning. There's a play that had spoken about this, had clarified, had given a prediction of such kind of things. Why are we not looking into those other ones? Because if you look at all these plays, majority of them clarifies the governance, and what is happening in our culture as the people of Africa.
Okay. Thank you so much. And when it comes to especially issues to do with literature will always reflect in our societies. They do not only point the leadership that we have, it also point on our character traits, our moral, the moral society. There are those plays that also talked about colonization and how can we decolonize ourselves. So literature is just a tool that is being used to correct or to showcase what is happening in our society in a very different way. As I said earlier, when it comes to literature has two meanings. You have to look it on the face value, and now you have to look at the inner meaning. And that one brings me to Kiswahili. When you go to Tanzania, there's what we call this kind of music. It's a traditional Swahili music. They usually sit somewhere and they call it kibao kata. Sijui kama umefuatilia. Kibao kata ni ile wakati labda Waswahili wamekaa chini wanaanza kuimba. So unapata yule mtu anaimba, labda kuna kitu ama jambo ambayo anataka kurekebisha jamii, ataimba pale kwa kibao kata. Pia unaweza pata kibao kata, labda kuna mtu alimkosea lakini amepata nafasi ya kumkosoa kwa kibao kata. Mfano tu, ili fanyika juzi. Unajua ule mwanamuziki mashuhuri anaitwa Diamond. Ako katika mahusiano na ule binti anaitwa Zuchu. Lakini pia kuna msichana ambaye alishawahi kuwa na Diamond, lakini akienda katika mtandao wanabishana. So kuna siku juu anaitwa nani, Zuchu alikuwa na mamake, walikuwa wanacheza kibao kata. Akapata nafasi kachamba ule mwingine. Akamchamba, wanaita hivyo, unamchamba. Kumchamba ili
you will have to translate for me all those things kindly. I can
Oh,
see Judith Karwetha at the comment section. She somehow understands
eh,
where I come from, and for my sake, and maybe for her sake, but I know she's from uh, the Kiswahili land, so she
yeah.
understands that very well.
So ikifika kwa kibao kata unachamba mtu, ndio unapata saa zile hata kuna maleso ambao wanavaa jinsi maalum tu ya kurekebisha mtu ama kutuma ujumbe, utalijua jiji. Sasa wewe unajua, wewe mwenyewe ukisoma hiyo leso utajua jiji, utajiuliza jiji ni nini. Lakini yeye mwenyewe kwa sababu kuna mlengwa, labda walikoseana mahali, utajua jiji, which means utanijua mimi, yeah? So ikifika mahali ya sanaa ya fasihi na sanaa ni mira na kioo, nasema kwamba ni kioo cha jamii. So inalingana na utafsiri wako, unaitafsiri vipi, na pia inalingana na mazingira kwa wakati huo. Yeah. So thank you so much for diverting from that. But now, Muguda, let me also ask you, because we are still on the voters, whereby the voters, if they fail to do so, let's take for typical example, like now what we are saying, the voters made a choice, and what we are seeing, you find that in our hospital, people are struggling, but you find like quite a number of members of parliament are giving out money, huge sums of money to the churches. Yet we are still seeing struggles in our hospital, Mr. Miguda. What is your take on that? And as you combined it with that, it's also something that Natembeya said about thinking like you cannot criticize, and he's not going to be a praise and worship team. So, and this one brings us, this one is all brought together to voting. How do we vote? And despite the challenges that they are facing. So you can talk in that as I fixed my camera too. And sorry, Makubura, you ulitoa ile nini, ile bana tuliweka. Makubura, can you check on the banner that we placed where people can send those for the ring paper? Oh, okay. No, Judith, hapana. Kuchamba si kuconfront somebody. Mtu anakuchamba kwa wimbo, anakuchokonua kwa wimbo. Kuchamba si kuconfront. Kuchamba ni ile wakati umepata nafasi na unatumia wimbo ama unatumia sanaa kutuma ujumbe kulingana na matukio ama kulingana na jambo ambayo ilitokea. Umepata nafasi. Sasa kuna mlengwa, kuna mtu ambaye unamlenga, lakini unamlenga kwa sanaa. Angalia wimbo zake, ukienda kwa hiyo kibao kata, ilikuwa imeleta shida sana Tanzania, lakini alikuwa anachamba ule binti mwingine ambaye inasemekana kwa alikuwa na uhusiano na boyfriend wake. Sasa alikuwa anamchamba katika wimbo, na huyo msichana pia hakusita, akaenda pale katika mtandao wa kijamii akamchamba vizuri kwa maandishi. Alitumia wimbo, lakini msichana huyo akatumia maandishi. Asante sana Makobura. Miguda.
Oh, you asked me about the issue of the people or the electorates making wrong decision at the ballot. At the same time, these electorates or the politicians do bribe electorates, even the issue of the churches and funerals. I want to also understand that there's a distinction between a civic educator and a politician. When you are carrying out your role of civic education, you must be different from a politician, because a civic educator must state things correctly in accordance the way they're supposed to be instructed. But a politician always do tell the people what they want to hear. So sometimes you can blame someone. Why are you not telling me what I want to hear? Or why are you telling me? So that one must be also taken into consideration. That's why we find someone was very good during his activist moment, but once he becomes a politician, or she becomes a politician, she changed to be a different person because she's no longer a civic educator, or he is currently carrying out the role of a politician, whereby it is complex. The issue of interest, the issue of party politics, and also the issue of the constituents and the personality. That's why, even if you talk about the issue of bribing electorates, to my view, I still believe that these electorates, even if you try, people have said that we should not donate or contribute in our churches or our mosque or our temples if there is any. So people are also clever, or politicians are also cunning, because if you go to the funerals, the people usually carry out that role of the service is the church, most of our funerals in our Kenyan context. And whenever the church is present, the people who usually preside are either the bishops, the canon, the pastors, or the reverend. So instead of giving them that money in churches, you'll find politicians sneaking into funerals, and after they have concluded their condolence message to the deceased family, they will end up saying that I have contributed 10Ks to this church, even if there were two churches. I've contributed 10Ks to this church. I have contributed 10Ks to this church, and I've also given family 20Ks. It means, even if you are trying to remove this issue of giving our churches or our church leaders money in churches, the politicians are cunning to understand that they will even find them in funerals. And the people who have come to celebrate the last moment of the deceased are also church members of that particular church. So if I can't find them in the church, I will find them in the funerals. And we understand in our local villages or sub-locations, there's always, every weekend, there must be a funeral. People are being buried almost every weekend in our villages or in our constituency, because every weekend there must be a funeral in a constituency. And that's an opportunity for a politician to go and meet these church leaders and these politicians and these congregants, so that even if you chase them out of church, they will have to meet them in the funeral. That's why, even if Bro Benson was asking me the issue of bribing voters to not to vote for a politician instead of voting wisely, I still believe, even if we do away with this issue of churches donation contribution, so that we can sway the congregants in churches, we will still meet them in funerals. And if I'm a politician who is always present in each and every funeral in my village, it means that each and every church, because there are different churches, will see me as someone who is kind to their leader, because I will always give their leader and even the choir sometimes. So even if I can't donate in church, I still donate in the funerals. And the message will go that Miguda gave the choir such amount, gave the leader such amount. That's why I still insist that we, the people, most of us do not vote the rightful person based on the character of that person. We just vote, and we are being influenced by the tribe where our person is coming from. We are being influenced by party politics. We are being influenced by the politics of the money. That's why, even if the question was put, it is very, very difficult for an electorate to decide that I must vote this rightful person. That's why, after every election, even the people who voted for the person who, based on those factors, they end up crying. And we are saying the problem will cut across. It will not select the people who never voted for that person. And it's very important as a civic educator that when you are given an opportunity to lecture the audience. You must tell them that it is very important to put emotions aside and try to use common sense, that this ballot paper is my future, the future to my kids, and also the future of my country. How should I transform? That's why we usually say that transformation can only happen at the ballot. Makubura, back to you.
Okay, thank you. Allow me to recognize the presence of Gypsy Corner, the comment section, Judith Karitha, and of course Douglas anatuambia yeye ni mtu ya mathematics, chemistry na biology. I think you could be in the same profession as our good friend Judith Karitha. Sasa I think mnaweza endana vizuri kwa mambo ya chem, biology and chemistry. Na nimeona tena hapa amekuuliza Miguda, when was the last time you did what we call titration? I remember those things were the toughest thing in high school and in chemistry, where I would be told to mix different what acid and bases, so that they would they would make different colors, and some of them, I remember things like pop up. I don't know what. It's taken time anyway. So Douglas, that is a nice topic that you've brought. Things to do with titration. Titration is no longer helping me as an individual, but I remember how serious and tough I was told to, had no other option but to follow up and do titration. Here I wish we had CBC. They would have not forced me to do titration and to mix acid and bases and all those things. But it was a nice thing. It was a nice experience that we had, because it partly helped us to understand so many things. Of course, those issues of acid and base and everything. So that is a discussion you can have very well with Judith Karitha, because I'm quite sure she also likes things to do with titration. Yeah. So, Mr. Miguda, maybe you'll give your take on that light note. But something else that I wanted us to just talk about before we finish is, they say, the choice of words that the president has been using. And there's one that was trending. There's one that was trending. He keeps saying this thing, that whenever he's given an explanation, he keeps saying that he's not mad, he understands what he's saying. And I remember today he was also telling the people of Bomet that his son fully understands and likes football. And he has even gone to do masters in football management or things similar to that. The other day, what is your take on some of the comments that the president has been giving? Because whenever he makes a speech, we've seen instances where, for example, while he was in Siaya, he talked about Sifuna maybe not understanding where they came from in ODM, and that was a discussion in social media. Maybe not forgetting that, of course, this issue of whenever he's giving an explanation. The other day was in Rift Valley, and he told them that he's not a madman, he understands. And this issue of him being mad or not mad is something he has talked about. And this kind of the choices of word that he's been using are the ones that are making the people of Kenya to speak about the president in social media, and part of this are what the NIS were trying to raise and say that it is not good. What is your take on the choice of words? Should the president use some decent, or he should not crack some jokes, or what is happening? Maybe you can give us your take on that, and also your last remarks before we finish.
On a light note, let me also respond to Douglas, because I've been mentioned like twice in the even me, not that even me, that biology and chemistry, I was also an excellent student. Even mathematics. The only science which I never did was physics. And even during COVID-19, I do offer. I offer some teachings to my nephews and this biology, chem, and mathematics, chemical reaction. Understand them very well. But it was just by a slight chance I could have ended up in a medical field. Anyway, I'll study for another day. You have asked me about the issue of Mr. President. Mr. President, you understand these things. You must understand whether you like it or you don't like it. You must distinct a politician. There's many things here. A politician. Politicians, they usually defend. They defend even the video, the video evidence. If you have a a clip that he was stealing public funds, he will defend that was not him. Even you understand that they will defend. So Mr. President also has been having that trend. And you also must know these people. They have characters. They have characters in politicians. And even if you're a new person, they will identify you for your character. Like Raila, there is how the people who oppose to him are calling him Muganga, Mchawi, Kitendawili. But in his strong base, it's being called Baba Agwambo. Ruto is being called Onjelo Jagot in Luo Nyanza, or Muizi to some regions, or Arap Mashamba, such things. Ouru was called Mlevi, Jaden, you understand, Kamwana, and also Rigathi Gachagua, they were trying to baptize him with Mkabela, tribalist. All of them practice all these things, but now they are giving each other the name. And Mr. President also has its defense mechanism that Mimi si mjinga, I'm not a mad person. That one has been a trend that whenever he's attacked, he must respond to the people. I'm not a mad person. Very important for his supporters because they will know, okay, our person is not a mad person. And Raila also do defend that. Sisi si wajinga, tunajua pali tumetoka, pali tuko na pali tunaenda. So you must understand these politicians that if you are having a certain defense mechanism, you must be consistent because it works for you. But if you have a certain names, or also known as in the political field, it depends on the region where you're coming from. You also must accept. To some extent, Kalonzo is called watermelon. To some extent, Kalonzo is called someone who's loyalist. That is why Mr. President also, in his own capacity, is defense mechanism whenever he's attacked by the opponent. The way you are saying clearly, people like Sifuna, whenever they attack Mr. President, whenever they attack Mr. President, they usually respond that I'm not a mad person. And usually, sometimes it's also having another mechanism that when it comes to history, I can give it to Raila. But mambo na uchumi, hapo huwezi nifundisha. But he was tested and he fell in uchumi. So those are politics. And also the issue of the son, of course, you can't deny that you must praise your son. But he has never managed any team successfully. That's the question we will ask him. Which team has he managed successfully? Which soccer has he played? So we will ask such questions in the future, not now. Makubura, I think you have also asked him the issue of Natembeya.
Yes.
Natembeya. Natembeya is still in the. He's still in the. I think still warming up for national politics, and I believe that, in my own opinion, is going to defend his Trans Nzoia gubernatorial seat, and also is aligned to the opposition, or is aligned with the people. Is not aligned with the status quo, and is at liberty to play his politics. That is so you must distinct the politics of the status quo and the politics of the people who are not in government, the opposition. My last remarks, I will just also, just like you people, recognize our fans or our viewers who have actually engaged us on the comment section. I will also like to tell the people for the first time that they can subscribe, and also they can share. And also, I can just say that the reason why we can say that people will vote wisely, or people will vote in accordance to the will of the civic educators, or in accordance with the people want it to be, it is because there are differences when it comes to the politics. People do align with the party politics. People do align with tribe. In the case whereby you are diverse, like the Kenyan case, people do align themselves with interest. People do align with themselves with deals. That's why it's complex to an extent that we can't realize a moment whereby we can decide that with the people, we can vote once for a rightful person in an elective seat. That is why revolution is very necessary for any reform.
Okay, thank you. I want to take this opportunity to just say a big thank you to everyone who joined us today, and we hope that you'll join us again tomorrow. And to those of you who are asking for how we'll be channeling the contribution that we are planning to have as a channel, there is a number at the screen. You can just send whatever you have in that number. Either way, if you can't access M-Pesa, you can just reach out to us, and we'll give you way forward on how you can do your how you can maybe give your contribution. I want to take this opportunity to say a big thank you to Douglas Kibogong for joining us and giving us your opinion in the comment section. Judith Karitha, Gypsy Corner, and Brenda Obedi. Thank you so much. There is Alex Omwara. Thank you so much, Alex, for also finding time to be with us. Moodmix, Rispa, thank you so much. And everyone at the viewing section, we really appreciate the fact that you took your time to be with us this evening. We don't take it for granted. We really, really appreciate. We hope that you'll join us again tomorrow, as we'll be proceeding with the conversations which are, the political things which are happening in our country. Allow me now to just wish you all a blessed night, a blessed morning, a blessed afternoon, a blessed evening from wherever you are. Thank you so much, and may God bless you. See you again tomorrow. Bye bye for now.